10 reviews. I can't believe I made it this far. I know my hair looks gay as shit, but I'm so excited I made it to episode 10. I honestly didn't think I'd make it this far. And to celebrate, we're reviewing Sonic R on Gems Collection, because it's the only version I could play right now. It's not on Steam, and I'm not getting a SEGA Saturn probably ever, and I don't have an old PC that could run the original PC version of Sonic R, so Gems Collection.
Don't forget, you also have to review Shadow the Hedgehog as well.
Tailsaw, you need to shut the fuck up. Okay, so Sonic X-treme was still taking forever to be finished, so Sega hired Traveler's Tales once again to create another Sonic game to occupy fans for Sonic X-treme's eventual release, which sadly never ended up happening. While Sonic X-treme got cancelled in early 1997, Traveler's Tales sent out their second Sonic game several months later. This time around, it was a racing game, and it was called Sonic R. The plot of Sonic R is non-existent. I mean, it's a fucking racing game after all. The version of the game that I'm playing is on the Sonic Gems collection, which was based off the PC version of the game that had slight improvements over the Saturn port. I'll talk about the minor differences later on though. You can select up to 10 different racers, with 5 of them being playable at the start. In most racing games that have Sonic in them, Sonic is usually in a car even though he's widely accepted as the fastest thing alive. While I don't think speed is the only thing a Sonic game should focus on, this is a racing game, so I'll let it slide. Sonic R actually has a pretty unique concept. Instead of racing in cars, all the characters except for Amy and Eggman are using their feet. If there was ever another Sonic-based racing game in the future, I think it would be neat to have them racing on their feet again like in Sonic R. Hell, seeing how there are so much more Sonic characters now than there were in 1997, I think the character roster would be greatly expanded. However, if a future Sonic game did this concept again, then it would definitely improve upon the controls, because holy hell do they take some getting used to. Each character controls differently, but most of them still have a tough time making sharp turns. You accelerate by holding the B button, and you could jump using the A button. You can turn by using the analog stick, and if you're at a sharp turn, you could hold down the L or R triggers based on which way you're turning. This makes turning a little better, but don't be surprised if you still find yourself running into walls. While the control issues can be made towards each character, not all of them play the same. Sonic is usually considered to be the best racer in this game. He runs at a good speed. When he's standing perfectly still, he can spin dash, and he's got a double jump that can be pretty helpful for finding shortcuts and other things. Tails isn't as fast as Sonic, and his turning is a bit more sluggish, but he can fly if you hold down the A button after you jump in the air, and this technique would be how Tails can fly in future games where he's playable, except for Sonic 4 Episode 2, but fuck Sonic 4. Knuckles is pretty good, and he has his gliding ability from Sonic 3K, but it could really break the game seeing how much air distance you can travel. Amy is probably the worst character in this game. She's in a slow as hell moving car that has a boost button, but it makes turning even worse if it's activated. The car can hover over water, but it moves even slower. Amy sucks. Now we move on to the unlockable characters. There's Dr. Eggman, who isn't as fast as Sonic, but he turns really well and he can float over water without an issue. There's Metal Sonic, returning from Sonic CD. He's almost like a clone of Sonic, except he can't spin dash and doesn't have a double jump, but he can jump pretty high and he can also float over water for a long time, which is pretty helpful. Then there's the Tails doll.
Yeah, there I am.
Yep, it's you, and you're one of the worst racers.
What?
Tails doll is slow as hell.
Huh?
He turns like shit.
Huh?
And he's got this really dumb floating move that seriously wishes it was just Tails' flying ability. So yeah, Tails doll really sucks. He'd be the worst character in the game if it wasn't for Amy being super slow.
Oh.
I mean, his dumb flying jump is good for skipping parts of levels, and he can float over water, but he's still not that good as a character. You know, there's a Metal Knuckles that's clearly supposed to be Knuckles' robotic doppelganger in this game, but all Tails got was this thing. I used to think it was just a doll that Eggman made come to life using magic or something, with that gem on his head being some sort of power gem making him float. But it turns out he actually is a robotic doppelganger, but he's modeled after a doll of Tails, not Tails himself. Weird. He's basically really pointless. Why is he even in this game? No offense. Tails doll? Hey, what are you doing?
What? Oh, nothing, just watching the sun rise.
The sun doesn't rise at 3 in the morning, you fucking idiot.
Oh, yeah, just... I don't know what I'm doing anymore.
you've never played Sonic R, haven't you?
No, not at all. I kind of avoided it after hearing a few bad things about it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, and I never knew it was this bad, and you know what?
What?
This got me thinking. Am I really just a pointless creation? Do I serve any purpose aside from scaring a bunch of 12-year-olds in some shitty internet horror stories? None of them are even good or worth reading, but that's just the belly of the beast, I guess. I just don't see a purpose to go on anymore. I was shit in my original game, so was I ever even good? Is there any point to my existence?
What? I'm not listening to you, dude.
I have no purpose.
I don't care.
I'm worthless.
I hope you fucking die one day. Back to the characters, there's Metal Knuckles, who has an even more broken glide ability than regular Knuckles. Just look at that pose, that's too damn funny. Then there's the Egg Robo from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, who can't jump and can't hover over water either. Great. That would be all the characters, but there is one last unlockable character. But before I get to that, I think I should discuss the racetracks, and there's only 5. Yep, only 5 racetracks, making this game extremely short. Each racetrack is alright. You can go in any direction you can think of, but some of these tracks like Rico Ruin or Radical Factory seem badly unfinished. Especially Radical Factory, where you can see where the graphics on the walls end. It's almost like when Sonic X-treme got cancelled and Traveler's Tales received the news, they just sort of lost the motivation to polish everything and just released the game in the pretty decent-ish state that the game is currently in. The game's graphics are clearly very SEGA Saturn, but I have a weird soft spot for these blocky graphics, especially how each character has popsicles for hands like Sonic does. This game got upscaled on the PC port, which made the draw distance much better, and playing this game through the Wii's component cables makes the game look bright, clear, and very colorful. Another thing Sonic R's PC port had were weather effects, and since Sonic Team decided to use the PC version as opposed to the Saturn version, we have the weather effects that you can activate in the options menu. This makes the game look even more pretty. And when the weather is set to winter, the water in all the levels can get frozen over to become solid road for the characters to run on, which is a very nice effect. Alrighty then, one thing the Saturn and PC port had were the last unlockable character, Super Sonic. To unlock Super Sonic, you don't go through special stages to earn Chaos Emeralds, but instead you have to collect the emeralds in the actual racetracks. Then win first place and you'll be rewarded with one. Collect all 7 and you'll give Sonic the ability to become Super Sonic. Super Knuckles sadly isn't in this game, and Tails wouldn't have had the ability to turn into Super Tails because he needs the Super Emeralds. Super Sonic is OP as hell in Sonic R. He's much faster, has a higher double jump, and he's great at turning. Plus he can hover over water without losing any speed, which is awesome. Another detail that I like is that if you go to Discount Rainbow Road, also known as Radiant Emerald, you'll hear the game's main theme song, which is Super Sonic Racing if you're playing this level as Super Sonic. If you enter the level as any regular character, you'll hear Diamond in the Sky, which is the level's actual theme. Okay, I've held off long enough without mentioning it, but the soundtrack was composed by Richard Jacques, who did the music for the Saturn port of 3D Blast, and each track has a vocal theme being sung by TJ Davis. Apparently, when Richard composed the game's vocal theme song, which is Super Sonic Racing, he presented the song to the developers, and Yuji Naka loved the song so much that he demanded TJ Davis to sing in every level. As a result, we have a laughably unfitting soundtrack. The music on its own isn't really that bad, but it definitely does not fit a racing game. You can shut off the singing voice in the options menu, but the instrumental tracks are still a bit too bouncy. This is definitely not the type of music you listen to in a Sonic game, but I like it in a so bad it's good sort of way. Not to mention, TJ Davis has an amazing singing voice, and I think we can all agree with that. To be honest, Sonic R is really just a so bad it's good sort of game. It certainly has left its mark on the franchise, mainly because it was the sole Saturn exclusive Sonic game that fans got when Sonic X-treme got cancelled. Sonic R is really dumb, but you know what? I love it. It's a really weird kind of love though. I sometimes go back to play this game to marathon through all 5 racetracks as Super Sonic. The game is so short and you can unlock everything in about half an hour if you know what you're doing. It's piss easy. One thing I really like about the version on the Gems collection is that the multiplayer can go up to 4 players. Yeah, just go into multiplayer and have each player press A in the right order, then bam, 4 players. So if you're really bored and you need something to laugh at with friends, play Sonic R. Since this game is super short, you're welcome to replay it over and over again. Sonic R is a wonderment. You know how Sonic Adventure 2 and other SEGA games like Jet Set Radio got HD remasters in widescreen? Why can't the same be done to Sonic R? Just imagine if this game got onto Steam with widescreen support along with online play. I'd buy that, and I know I'm not the only person who would. I love how enjoyably stupid Sonic R is, and I think an HD remaster would just seal the deal. Let Sega know, this is what the people want. Go play Sonic R. Everyone will be supersonic racing. You'll definitely feel the sunshine. It'll send you back in time to 1997. You'll work it out with your friends. Maybe you'll think it's a diamond in the sky, but it really depends if you're living in a city or not. I'll give Sonic R a 6 out of 10. This game sucks, but it sucks so excellently. And that was Sonic R. It's dumb as hell, but I love it. Certainly more fun than Sonic 3D Blast. Of course, I'm done with stalling. I am done with holding it up. I should probably mute this. The next review is going to be the actual next mainstream 3D Sonic game. And this game has actually received a lot of negative attention lately, mainly because these two assholes who run a really popular YouTube channel decided to play it, and they shat on it pretty badly. And now, if you like this game, you're just a horrible person and you should probably be lynched. But I am one of the people who like this game, and I am going to admit it has flaws. And, of course, the next game I'm talking about is Sonic Adventure. Yep, on an actual Sega Dreamcast. And I have a hell of a story to tell about getting this copy and a working Dreamcast. But until then, I'll see you guys next month. Thank you for watching.
When the day is done, when the race is won, my life has only just begun.